Hello, my inky friends. It's Carol Maynard from ohmyinkyfingers.com coming to you with some more alternate projects for October Paper Pumpkin. I'm already starting on this first card, and I have put some glitter on the back there where the pine trees are, and I've die cut one of the deer, and now I'm going to be putting a gold foil paper behind my main focal piece here. And I'm just trying to figure out if I want one or two deer here. I ultimately end up coming out with a second deer. Gonna add that there right alongside the first one, but I figured I'd better maybe come up with a sentiment, and for some magical moment, there happens to be a Kit Kat on my desk. I think that was a treat from my husband. But anyway, here I'm using the triple banner punch, and I've cut out some designer paper with the flag the end of the banner there, and I'm going to stamp a sentiment and also flag the end of this banner as well. That triple banner punch will punch 1 inch, 1.5, and 2 inch cardstock, which is really nice. It makes cutting banners very quickly. So here I am just measuring up my um, Whisper White cardstock so that I can stamp a sentiment on there, and I'm just going to put that below my main focal piece here. I felt that the sentiments in the paper pumpkin kit were a little bit too small for the size banner that I cut out here. So I actually ended up using the Merry Christmas from the stamp set called Better Together in the main catalog. As you can see here, the season's greetings that I just stamped on the banner doesn't really take up the entire space, and I really wanted something that covered it a lot better. So I ended up taking this Merry Christmas from this other set from the main catalog, and what I'm doing right now is I'm masking off the bottom portion of the stamp because I want the Merry Christmas to be side by side, and right now on the stamp it's the Merry is over top of the Christmas, so I wanted it to be side by side. So I covered up the Christmas, I inked it up, and then I took off the mask, and now I'm covering up the Merry part, and I'm going to ink it up and just stamp the Christmas part. I hope that makes sense. I'm actually really happy with the way that turned out. I'm surprised how nice and straight it was. So I'm just going to adhere that on top of my designer paper, and I will pop that up on some foam dimensionals. I'm going to continue to assemble my card, and um, I haven't decided if I'm going to use one or two deer with this yet. I believe I end up using two deer, and now I'm looking for my dimensionals. Seem to always are hiding on my desk. So I think 5 dimensionals on the back of this will work nicely, and um, a nice tip is to stick your thumbnail into the back of the dimensional, and it lifts up the release paper so that you can easily remove those. I'm adhering that to the front of my gold foil sheet, and then that will go right on my card base. I'm just using snail here, and I like the thin borders that go around the outside of the card. I brought in some 1/8 inch wide real red ribbon. This can be found in the holiday catalog, and I'm going to attempt to tie a bow here. It was really fiddly. I cut out most of the fiddly part of making this bow. I did tie it in a knot first, so that was helpful. I finally did get the bow tied. I'm going to put my dimensionals on the back of my sentiment. And again, I'm just pressing my nail into the back of the dimensionals, and it does help with lifting up the release paper. I'm using the fine tip glue pen on the back of my deer. I, I did put both of them on. These are tweezers from EK Success. They're so sharp. I have stabbed myself with them already, and you just have to be careful with them. But they're really nice. They hold on to things, and I think I got them on Amazon. But I'm gluing some of the sequins that came in with the kit to the back. I'm using the fine tip glue pen, just adhering some of those randomly. Had a little trouble with this last sequin. He didn't want to stay on very well, but I glued him down. He's good. So I couldn't decide what card base, if I wanted to go with white card base or the black card base. I'm actually kind of auditioning the white card base here. I just didn't feel like it popped enough with there's already black trim going around that main focal point there with the gold foil paper. I just felt that it would look a little bit better with the black card base. So I'm putting the tear and tape on the card base itself because I didn't know if my sequins were dry enough for me to put it on the back of the main focal point. So I just stuck it on the back of the card base itself and press that down. And I think that looks really cute. It's definitely going to need an inside piece. This is black cardstock, so it's going to be impossible to write on that unless you use a gel pen, which I have done that in the past too. It looks really nice, but this sentiment does come from the kit, the paper pumpkin kit. I thought that looked really nice, and I decided I thought it needed some snowflakes, so I did bring out some Pool Party ink, and going to stamp a few snowflakes across my sentiment there, but I decided that I wanted them a little bit lighter, so I am stamping them off on a post-it note. I'm going to use my snail adhesive and apply this to the inside of the card, and that's it for the first project. I think this one turned out really nice. I like this one. So the next project, I've decided to use one of the card bases that has the ornament and the pine sprig on the front. So I'm taking my tear and tape again, and I'm just going around the circle on the inside of the card, and I'm going to adhere one of the window sheets inside there. So the kit came with these awesome foam circles, and I really hope that Stampin' Up! Comes out with these. I just think they're really a lot of fun, and I'm using the one of the middle circles there. It's a little hard to get out, but you just kind of work it out there. It'll come out. So I'm putting that around the inside of the frame. My big head gets in the way there. I'm trying to keep that release paper on the back. So I'm trying to decide on placement of this deer in front of these pine trees, and I felt like it needed some snowbanks. So I'm taking some Whisper White and I'm just cutting like an S curve and flipping those around so that they're opposite each other. And I'm going to tint this a little bit with some uh, Pool Party ink. I brought in my ink blending tool and I was going to do it on the back of that card. Um, but then I was afraid that it might bleed to the front. So I kind of did start on there and I was like, nah, I better not do that. So I just brought in the cardboard that came in with my paper pumpkin kit. Normally I save those. I probably have a huge stack of them. And I just want a hint of blue on the edge of these just to give them a little bit of definition so that they look like they're a little bit further apart from each other. Plus I decided I'm going to put dimensionals between them. I'm not quite sure if that was such a good idea or not because I think that it kind of created too much space in the ornaments inside the ornament itself because it also had dimensionals on it. So you'll see later on where I'm kind of fighting with trying to get the card to be not so thick. I ended up cutting a lot of it out so that it fit. Here I'm just trying to line everything up and kind of make sure it's going to all fit within the window of the ornament cut out there. And yeah, my desk is just a total disaster here. I can't find anything. I don't even really know what I'm looking for. Oh, the deer. He was hiding, I guess. Well, he's so tiny. I mean, really. So I just not quite sure where I'm going to put him. Just a little bit of snail adhesive on his feet. We'll put him right in the front there. And I think that's how I'm going to keep it. I ended up trimming a lot of this off. And I'm just drawing a line there so I can figure out where I'm going to cut this at. So I just cut off the bottom and then kind of curved around the sides there and just cut all that off that I didn't need. With the hill banks already being popped up on dimensions, I was going to put two of those foam rings going around the outside, but that ended up being way, way too much. It was so thick. So I ended up ripping that off and um, cutting a half of a ring so that it only took up the top part, and then the hillside underneath was also put up on dimensionals. I mean, eventually it all turned out okay, but I really had a lot of engineering trying to figure out how to do that. So I'm bringing in this 1/8 inch real red ribbon and tying a double bow here. Again, fiddly, but it worked out nice. So I'm just going to adhere this up here in the branches with some glue dots. And I'm just using the glue dots that came in with the paper pumpkin. I have so many of these, I have to start using them up. They work the same as regular glue dots, so it's just that there's that extra backing. So I'm sticking that up there in the branches, fiddling again a little bit with it some more. The tails just weren't sitting the way I wanted them to sit. So I still felt like it needed a little extra something. So I'm bringing in my layering circles, and I decided I was going to cut some red glimmer paper and put a frame going around the outside of the ornament. And I think it turned out really cute. I think it really accents the inside of the ornament. Actually, I was thinking that maybe I should have added some glitter on the inside on those snowbanks. I could have probably done some Wink or something. Too late now. It's already sealed up. So I'm just using some more of these glue dots and I'm going around the outside of the frame. I probably could have used some Tombow liquid glue or even some of the fine line glue pen. I was afraid that that would not stick on the acetate window, so that's why I went with the glue dots. And I'm pretty generous about how many I put on the back here. So just removing all the release paper, and I'm going to put that right around the outside of the ornament. I think that turned out really cute. So I brought in some of my long, straight foam adhesive strips, and these are found in the annual catalog. Decided that I wanted to make sure the rest of the card was popped up, and I didn't want to use up all the ones that were in the paper pumpkins, so I just brought my foam strips in, and here I am just cutting some smaller strips just so that it stands up a little bit nicer on the card. And any of these little small pieces that you have, you can always just stick them inside there. They won't go to waste. So I'm cutting the last strip here, and then I decided that, oh heck, there's no room here, so now I got to cut some more of this hillside off. I only needed to cut a little sliver off, so I could put that foam adhesive strip there. So even that little itty bitty tiny piece I ended up putting inside there. So I'm putting some tear and tape on the back of the ornament. I wanted that to also stick to the card base. And I'm just going to have to, I have to remove all the release paper. There's a lot of it. I ended up with this huge pile of paper alongside my workspace here. Once I removed all the release paper, and I have this huge pile of scraps, I'm putting that on my plaid background and adhering that down. And I've decided that I'm going to put it on a piece of real red cardstock. So this is a top folding card. I don't make too many of those. I find them hard to put in some of my plastic clear envelopes. But this one I thought would look cute as a top folding card. So here's the inside sentiment. And I did use one of the sentiments from the paper pumpkin kit. I'm just going to adhere that with snail and put that on the inside of my card. So that is card number 2. So card number 3, I actually had this red glimmer paper left from my last card, and I thought, that looks kind of neat in there, but wouldn't that look really cool if I cut out a whole bunch of different size circles and made just different colors inside here. So here I'm trying to figure out what size rings I'm going to need. Now this is the layering circles again, so I have an oval on the outside and then a regular circle cut on the inside, and going to try and figure out what size I need to keep making them smaller and smaller. So I picked out 2 scallops. I don't even really know what sizes they were. And then 2 straight circles. And I am cutting them on my Big Shot. I'm also bringing in some gold glimmer paper to alternate between the different sizes. So here I am just fitting my gold and red glitter circles inside each other and trying to figure out the best look for this. And I have another set here I can use for another card. So I'm going to save those. But I really like this because it was a cross between scallops and circles, and they just really fit nice together. So I did bring in some multi-purpose adhesive sheet, and I just stuck some of that down to some Whisper White cardstock. And I'm just going to take my circles and position them on top of the adhesive. I'm just pressing them firmly down. At this point in time, I decided that center circle was just a little bit too big, and I'm trying to figure out how to get this into my 3/4 inch punch without, so I can make sure that it's in the center. So I decided I was going to put a dot right in the center of the circle, stick a post-it note to it, and then put it into my punch, and it worked out perfectly. So I did that with the gold piece as well. I just eyeballed the center, used a Sharpie marker, put a little dot right there, and just punched it, and it worked out perfectly. So I really like the way that turned out. I'm just adding some tear and tape to the back of the card front, and once I remove the release paper for that, I'll put my window sheet on as soon as I can find it. Here it is. I'm just going to put that right on the back, and then I'm going to cut this panel down and put some tear and tape going across the top there so it sticks onto my card front. And just remove the release paper. Sorry, my head gets in the way there. And then I realize, it's kind of flopping down on the bottom. So I'm going to bring in some glue dots and just put in a couple on the bottom there so that it stays where it needs to stay, and remove the release paper on the glue dots and just stick that down. I'm going to bring in some real red ink here and stamp one of the sentiments on the banner that came in with the Paper Pumpkin kit. And this I will go ahead and mount on top of the gold foil banners that also came in with the kit. I actually thought that maybe these possibly might be adhesive backed, but they are not. So I'm just using some fast fuse to adhere that to the foil sheet, and I'm going to pop this up with some dimensionals. You can never go wrong with dimensionals. Two should hold this nicely, and I'm just going to off center that on the front of my card, just so it kind of goes over top of the ornament. At this point in time, I decided that it was going to need some red tinsel trim. This is found in the holiday catalog, and you can get the red and the silver tinsel trim. I believe it's $9, and you get both of them. So it's a pretty good deal. Speaking of the holiday catalog, if you need a holiday catalog, you can email me at carol@ohmyinkyfingers.com, and I will be happy to get you out a holiday catalog. I'm just going to finish this up by putting some more glue dots on the top part of this ornament, and I'm going to put my bow right on what would be, I guess, the hanger of the ornament. And I believe I stuck 3 of them down there because this is pretty thick tinsel trim, and I wanted to make sure that it stayed on real well. So I'm going to just adhere this to the card base, and that is project number 3 done. I really love paper pumpkin, and the fact that it comes right in my mailbox every month, and I love the surprise that I get. I think you would love it too. If you are interested in subscribing to Paper Pumpkin, visit my website at www.ohmyinkyfingers.com, and see you soon.